The light, it burns us.
So you got your new Jeep JL. You made sure to get the full LED headlight package. You now have the power of the sun installed in your grille. You have the power of a god. But with great power comes great responsibility. Don't be the jackwagon that burns the retina out of the eyes of every oncoming driver you encounter. In short, don't be that guy or that gal. If you're like me, you might be getting to the age where gray hair is gone from faint wisps to full-on salt and pepper demigod status. With that comes the unfortunate degradation of vision. It's more difficult to see at night, your eyes don't adjust as quickly as they used to, and every set of misaligned and maladjusted LED headlights you come across on the road make you squint and hold your breath for a split second as the car goes by. You know that feeling, and you hate it. Your only retaliation is to quickly flash your high beams in hopes they dim their lights. They flash you back, and it's confirmed they were already dimmed, and the beam patterns still seem to find a way to the back of your skull. Knowing the feeling of flash burn while driving, you begin to realize when you drive your awesome Jeep, you get flashed a lot too. Then it clicks, and you ask yourself, are my headlights properly adjusted? Most people don't really know that many headlights are not properly adjusted, not even from the factory. Some dealerships don't ever even think to check them. Some replace their headlights and don't know what to check or how to adjust them, often don't even consider that it needs to be done. To help correct this all too common issue, we're going to show you how to adjust the headlights on your Jeep so that you are no longer part of the problem and a shining example of the solution. We'll tell you what tools you'll need, we'll demonstrate the method to adjusting, and we'll show you what a good beam pattern looks like for low beam and for high beam. All right, everybody, so I'm out here at the Jeep, and I got the hood up, and I have tools. So this is a 6mm Allen drive, okay? And I'm going to show you some pictures right now of what the actual adjustment screw looks like, okay? So on the adjustment screw, you're going to see that the center of it has this hexagonal, Allen drive so that you can adjust the screw, okay? Down inside that, you see what looks like a number 2 Phillips. I tried to use a number 2 Phillips. It didn't stick so good, so the Allen drive worked a lot better, so I would suggest using that. And I think this is like a 12-inch extension, somewhere in that neighborhood. So that gets you up plenty high enough above the front core support area to be able to actually get on the adjustment screw. So also on the adjustment screw, you can see that there's reference marks kind of north, south, east, west. So when you turn it, you can turn it in quarter turn increments to kind of keep an eye on it so that when you're doing it, you don't go crazy and like crank it like 5 or 6 times and one eyeball sticking up high and the other one's going over the other way. So use the reference marks, turn them in quarter turn or half turn increments, and that's how you actually do that part. So I'm gonna switch the camera around here and kind of go in from the side to show you where, in reference to the rest of the vehicle, the screws are located. All right, so this is on the driver's side, okay? Coming in up over here, and this is the air box on a 392. And I'm gonna tip up in here, and hopefully we can get this bad boy to focus. There we go. So you can see right down there is the one on the driver's side. And then we're gonna come over here. Boom. And right in front of your corner of your fuse panel is the one on the passenger side. So again, you can see the reference marks, the north, south, east, west. The Allen drive will fit in there nice and snug. So there's no reason to shove it in there. You'll feel it cog in and drop down there. So life is good. All right, so here we are in a spot where we have relatively flat ground, as close as I could get. So here's our 6mm Allen bit with a 12-inch extension. We got a tape measure, and we got some painter's tape. And we also brought a mover's blanket so we can cover one of the headlights so that we can independently adjust them. So, the way I was taught to do this, you measure off of a stationary object 25 feet where you can get a good beam pattern. So, go ahead and get a look at the beam pattern. And you can see there's a pretty crisp line that goes across there, okay? And basically what you're gonna wanna do is measure from the center of your headlight to the ground, and then you're gonna go over and you're gonna measure up the wall that same height, and you're gonna put some masking tape on the wall, which I've already done. Well, I've already measured it, so. So that gives you a target to hit on the wall for where you want to adjust your lights. So I've already adjusted mine so I know that they're level. We're just kind of recreating this for you. So I would start with the driver's side, and you can see now that I threw the blanket over the passenger side, it's gotten a little dimmer on the passenger side, okay? And it's brighter on the driver's side. You would take your adjustment tool, you would slide it down in there to the adjustment screw that we talked about earlier, and then you're gonna rotate it clockwise for down and counterclockwise for up. And you can do that in quarter turn increments, or you can do it in half turn increments, okay? So you get the one set as close as you can get, then you cover the other light, and then you check over and see where your line's at. And then you adjust accordingly, clockwise to screw it down, counterclockwise to bring it up. And you try and get your lines paired up as close as you can. If you're gonna be off on either one of them, it's usually okay to take your driver's side and tip it down just a little bit so that when you're coming into oncoming traffic, the one that normally gets them is the driver's headlight. So if it's down a little extra, you're being a perfectly fine human being, and you're making the oncoming driver feel a lot more safe about the fact that they're driving into the face of this. Hopefully not directly, but. So now we're gonna take you out and show you what it looks like on the road, what the beam pattern looks like on a highway. And I'll use reference marks such as the side markers on the road, the reflectors, and how far you can see versus how far you can't see with and without the high beams on. So the next time you see us, we're on the road. All right, so we're out on the highway here. Where we live, we're blessed with a lot of really straight, long roads. So right now our high beams are on, and you can see the sign ahead, very bright. You can see reflectors down the road, very bright. You can see the dashes down the road, very bright. Now I'm gonna kick it to my low beams. You can see that's a very distinct cutoff that's a few yards out in front of us there. And the reflectors on the side of the road now, you can only really see about one at a time. And it's okay to have that darkness out there. A lot of people think, oh, my low beams aren't bright enough. No, your low beams are plenty bright to drive at regular speeds and to be able to see far enough in front of you. But when you turn your high beams on, you can see how good these headlights are and how far they shoot down the road. I mean, this is an easy mile stretch of road, and we're seeing reflection all the way out down to the end. I'm gonna turn them off, it goes away. I turn them back on, everything comes back. So these LED headlights on the JLs are incredibly bright. They have an incredibly good pattern, a good spot, and they can be controlled. You can get them dialed down far enough to not blind people as you're driving at them. Another thing to take into consideration is the fact that you're maybe taller, you're lifted, right? So my 41-inch headlight, when I ended up getting them adjusted to hit the road like this, I actually ended up bringing mine down to about 33 inches at 25 feet. So it was not nearly as high, it wasn't a level shot. And you have to kind of think about smaller cars. So you got, a car, not like an SUV or a utility or a crossover or anything like that, but people with actual cars, their side mirrors on their vehicle are maybe, 32 inches, 36 inches off the ground. They're not that far off. So when you're going through traffic and your beam pattern is down below that, you're not clipping people in the mirrors, you're not clipping people through their side windows. It's a very respectful height for your low beam. So I can still see out in front of me just fine, but when I turn my high beams on, the power of the sun comes to fruition and it shoots down the road a good long distance. So you can also see right now, no one's high beaming me, no one's flashing me. My low beams are on. They're in a good pattern at the moment, so life is good. And I know that there's a lot of street lights around and everything. We're gonna get up the road here a little ways where there are no street lights, and you'll be able to see what it is with the low beams with no ambient light. So you can see the road signs ahead of us. We're gonna go back to low beam, and that cuts it right down. So you can see where that cutoff line is. You can see where it dives off out there. So as oncoming traffic's coming at you, they're not getting a hard, bright light in the eye. The JL headlights are projector headlights, so they're aimed really well, or they have a good spot to them, and they got a real good hard cutoff line. So we're coming up on a little bit of a rise here. There's hardly any ambient light on the road itself, and here comes some high beams, and you can see 3/4 of a mile out down there. That's another thing about the 392 is that it has the automatic headlights or automatic high beams, and so it turned the high beams off when it saw this car come across the crest up there in front of us. So their high beams are still on. Hopefully they shut theirs off soon. All right, so here's a spot, 0 ambient street lights. There's low beams. There's high beams. And I can see the reflectors faintly down the road. I can see the fog line off in the distance. And there's an oncoming vehicle. And automatic high beam shut off. So you can get a true sense of the difference between the high beam and the low beam. And these headlights can totally be adjusted down. There's low beam, so that you're saving the drivers coming at you. You're not part of the problem, but you're a shining example of how it should be. And there they are on high beam. So you can see plenty far out in front of you. Kind of toggling just to give you a better comparison. So hopefully that all made sense. We covered all the basics, the tools that you would need, 6mm Allen, some masking tape, a tape measure, a blanket to cover a headlight. We talked about the method for setting it up, measuring off the wall 25 feet, measuring the height of the center of your headlight, setting that as your initial target for adjusting your headlight. And we even talked about going out on the road and showed you the difference between a good low beam and what a high beam can actually do, and where you want those low beams to be set in relation. And when I initially did mine, they were still a little high, so we just kept tipping them down until we had that nice comfortable range out in front of us. So thank you for watching. Hopefully you guys enjoyed this. Please comment, join the conversation, let us know what you think of everything that we're doing here. And we got a couple videos over here that you might like. And please don't forget to smash the like button and share this video with someone. We'd really appreciate it, and we'll catch you in the next video.